I know we've got a lot to get to, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. For those of you that had signed up online or registered, you've received a link to the plan. All of our associates, you guys already have the plan in front of you, so that should be pretty easy for you. If you're wondering, where is this printed copy of the plan? Check your email. It was sent to you. Make sure you print it off because I'm going to want you to take notes on it. And if you're one of those that just like to take notes on a Word document, that's totally fine too. If you need an immediate copy of the plan, meaning like, I don't know, did this go in my spam? Where's my email? You can just text the word BIZ, B-I-Z, to 55444. Text the word BIZ to 55444, and you'll get an immediate copy of the plan if you don't have it yet. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. First things first. I'm not going to sit here and read my bio to you. Basically, my name's Jeff Glover from Detroit, Michigan. I've been listing and selling real estate now. This coming May will be my 20th year. I'm on the ground with you. I'm told all the time, anytime we do a webinar like this, at least a third of the webinar is brand new, which sounds like about 1,000 of you have never attended anything of ours before. If this is your first time on one of our webinars, I want you to go ahead and throw that in the chat. First timers, raise your hands, put something in the chat where you're coming from. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'd love to see those messages later because we're going to give away a lot of cool stuff today. And I like picking on some first timers when I give some stuff away. Again, Jeff Glover with Glover U. We've got a great group of producers here in Detroit. We sell between 900 and 1,000 transactions a year. We've been the #1 home selling team in the state of Michigan for 8 years now, and we are ready to share with you our 2022 plan. So thanks for joining us. Okay, go ahead and turn to the free resources page in your plan. You should be on the free resources page. I'm going to share with you a couple resources because from time to time today, or time to time over the next hour, I'm going to reference some of these. So that way you can go back and add additional tools to your business that you might not already have. So if you would turn to the additional resources, or I'm sorry, free resources page in the plan. There's some notes down there at the bottom. I'm going to give you some notes. While you're all getting on, again, thanks for joining us. Make sure you're letting us know where you're coming from. Make sure you're chiming in if it's your first timer. We appreciate you guys being here. First things first, I want you to write down the word morning. And next to that, I want you to write the word 55444. Morning, 55444. What is that resource? Well, that resource is a free daily text message where every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, I send out a message, something related to success in the real estate industry. Sometimes it's inspirational. Sometimes it's just get to work. Sometimes it's, hey, I was on a listing appointment last night and here's what happened. Sometimes it's, hey, here's what's going on with Facebook and how we just, got a client off of a Facebook group. Every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, I'm sharing that. You guys, of course, all have that already. If you're not signed up for that, it's super easy to do. I'll show you how to do it. Take out your cell phones. So go ahead and take out your cell phones as if you're texting your friend. Now, our group here doesn't have our cell phones because we don't bring them to meetings. But for those of you that are watching on the Zoom, go ahead and pull out your cell phones. And you're going to text as if you're texting a new friend or a new family. Well, probably not a new family member, but if you're texting a new friend, the phone number is 55444, 55444. And in the body of the message, you're just going to type morning. The body of the message, you're just going to put morning. You're going to hit send. It's going to sign you up for that completely free. Now, if you're wondering, Jeff, are you going to spam me through this? No, we already do. We've already got all your information anyway, so nothing's going to change there. The daily message is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's yours. It's free. It's on me. That's resource number 1 I want to share with you. Resource number 2 I want to share with you is while you have your phone in your hand, open up your Facebook app. So go ahead, once you do morning to 55444, go ahead and open up your Facebook app. And at the top, right next to the little messenger thing, there's going to be a magnifying glass. And you're just going to type Glover space U space inner circle. It's going to pull up a free Facebook group. And while it's asking if you want to join that Facebook group, it's probably also going to ask if you'd like to subscribe to our quarterly publication. We produce 35,000 copies of these every quarter. They go out to top producing real estate agents all over North America. If you want it, it's free. It's on me. It's going to ask you, sorry, my phone does that sometimes. It's going to ask you if you would like to subscribe. Just put your information in there to our quarterly Gazette. That's what this is. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, Jeff, I don't need another Facebook group. I don't really have time for that. Go to gloveru.com/Gazette. That's an easy kind of workaround if you don't want to go through the Facebook group. But not sure why you wouldn't want to be in the Facebook group, because that's where we drop all of our scripts, all of our techniques, all of our ideas, all of our videos. Anything that we come up with, we put there first for you. All right, so that's called the Glover U Inner Circle, and that is the Glover Gazette that comes along with it. All right, speaking of giveaways, we're going to do a lot of giveaways today. I think we have, oh yes, on the next page. You'll see that there if you turn to the next page in your business plan. Man, I've got, let's see, we've got Live Unreal Health Kit. We've got the new business plan that we're giving away, which is super cool. You guys are all going to get one here in a second, so you'll see that. You're going to love that. And anytime you're on social media, Facebook or Instagram today, make sure you're tagging us. Our social media team is here in the room as well, and they're looking for people who are using the hashtag GloverU on any of your posts. So whether you're sharing a selfie, a picture, an aha, a screen share, whatever you're sharing out there on social media between now and the end of this business plan, I want you to make sure you're utilizing the hashtag GloverU. That's how we're going to find you. Tag us, of course, through Instagram or Facebook as well. We will find you. We're going to be giving away stuff all for the next hour. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to give away. And our crew is ready to go find those and get those up on the screen as well. Okay, actually, you know what I want to know? Let's see. Our next tour stop is going to be in Phoenix. So we're going to do one right now. Our next tour stop is going to be in Phoenix. It's coming up on December the 1st. We've been going all over the country, which maybe if you've followed us, you've seen that. The next 3 people from Phoenix that say, yep, I'm in Phoenix, throw that into the chat. I'm going to see you in Phoenix. You're going to come see me, and I'm going to give you one of our planners. All right, so that's the new planner. These things sell for like $40 online, gloveru.com/shop. I know a lot of you guys already get them. A lot of you guys already order these each and every year. If you're in Phoenix, first 3 people to say they're in Phoenix and come see me on December the 1st, you're on me. All right, so they'll make a note of that in the chat so you guys have that. They'll get your information. Just go ahead and say, yeah, I'm in Phoenix. Now you got to come see me, of course, on December 1st in order to get that. Okay, let's jump into the plan. We should be on part 1 of the agent business plan. And here's what's interesting about the plan. Every year this plan gets an update. Every year we take a look at how we operated as a team, what our business looked like, what our listings looked like, what our sales looked like, what the industry looked like. I know a lot of real estate teams and agents are operating, well, every year I do the same plan every year. The challenge with that is the industry changes so much, right? The trends, the disruptors, the technology. We cannot operate from the same plan each and every year. So every year, our plan gets an update. And this year is no exception. In fact, this year's plan is actually 14 parts. So we're going to go through 14 parts over the next hour. And I know we're going to have some questions and so forth as well. So as you have questions, feel free to ask them. If you're on the webinar, obviously with the thousands of people that we have on, we're not going to be able to get to all your questions, but what I recommend you do is make a note of your questions as we go through this. And so long as you're in the inner circle, you can go back and post some of your questions. I know there's going to be a lot of engagement, a lot of questions from the plan in the actual inner circle itself. So make sure that you make a note of it, write it down, and post it in the inner circle. We're going to answer them as fast as we can for you. Okay, so let's jump in. First couple parts of the plan. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. My high analyticals, my high C's in the room, show of hands. High analyticals, high C's, where you at? Okay. You guys are just going to geek out over this. This is going to feel like so natural and so right and just so good. My high D's and high I's, where are you at? Expressives, high D's, high I's. Okay. Just bear with us for the next 10, 15 minutes. I promise it gets good. It gets better. We're going to be okay. All right. We're going to make it through it. So this particular plan, and the reason why I want to make sure everyone understands, I was first introduced into a business plan back in 2007 when I hired my first real estate coach. And that year I had sold 42 homes that year. And I met a real estate coach and said, I want to sell 100 homes. And we actually wrote out not a 14-part plan, we wrote out a simple 1-page plan. And that plan had units and how many appointments I had to go on and how many appointments I had to set and how many people I had to talk to. Now obviously it has grown from there, but the reason why I share that story with you is because I can't really think of a time where I've produced at a high level without a plan. And it's amazing to me because there's so many agents in the industry today that come to the sales meetings, they show up to their office and they talk to a few people around the office and they do what they can to participate, but they're not actually operating from a plan. They don't actually have something that they're measuring their results against on a regular basis. And so it's our mission, of course, as a team to hold you accountable to this, because I know I had someone hold me accountable to this, and when I did, I hit my goals. And when I didn't have someone hold me accountable to this, I didn't hit my goals. And so I'm going to challenge you guys, whatever it is, whether it's getting to an event, participating in the inner circle, whatever you have to do, hiring someone to hold you accountable, going to your leader and saying, hey, I just got off this webinar, I got this plan, I want to work on this plan, will you hold me accountable to it? It won't work unless you have somebody asking you how it's going. And so, and our associates know this, it's part of our standard. When we have one-on-ones, we pull out the business plan. All right, how are we doing so far? How can we get better? And I know that, just from our leadership team, it's our job to continue making sure that that's part of the one-on-ones and not just like, hey, how things going, how things feeling. So let's jump into the first couple parts of the plan, and we'll start with part 1. And this is called year-end projections. The purpose of the year-end projections, and you'll notice there's notes to the left or to the right for you to make notes. My recommendation is that you're not actually filling out this plan right now. You're going to go back and do this plan later. But we left notes specifically to the left or to the right or to the bottom, so that way you can go back and review those notes when you have time to sit down and put some serious thought into this. When we're going through part 1 of the plan, the year-end projections, I want you to understand that essentially what we're doing is we're developing your ratios. We're helping you understand where you're at. Part 1 is all about, when it says year-end projections, know that it's cool to know about where we're going to end up and how much money we're going to make and all that. But know that the real reason why we do part 1 is to help you determine a ratio. Because if I can figure out what your ratios are, then when you say to me, Jeff, hey, I made $100,000 in 2021, I want to go to 200 next year. The first thing I can look and say, okay, well, let's take a look at some of your ratios, and then now let's plug them into what your units goal are, what your volume goal is, and figure out what has to change, what has to increase. The challenge with that conversation is I can't have that conversation with you if I don't know what your ratios are. And so that's why a lot of you, of course, our associates are familiar with us, and anyone that follows us at Glover U, that's why we use the program SISU. Because SISU essentially does that for us, right? SISU, it helps us track our ratios. So when I'm looking at my year-end projections, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. The ones that are self-explanatory, I'm going to skip over. But I want to make sure we understand that when we look at this is all about figuring out where we're at to determine where we want to go. That's the purpose of the year-end projections. All right, so daily contacts. Obviously, if we're using our SISU correctly, we're going to know what that number is. By the way, the definition of a contact today, because it's evolved over the years, the definition of a contact today is a response from a decision-making adult. A response from a decision-making adult. For years and years, it used to be a hello. They answer the phone or they open the door. That's hello. That's a contact. Today, it's a response because we get a lot of responses through social media. We get a lot of responses through, Facebook or through email or through text message. A response is considered a contact today. So whenever we talk about what's your daily contacts or how many contacts did you have yesterday, all those responses, somebody responding and telling you to go fly a kite via email, that's a response. That counts as a contact. So then, okay, what is my average daily contacts? Well, for this group here, this is the highest performing real estate team in the state of Michigan. So the group in here, on average, they're making anywhere from 15 to 25 contacts a day. And that's just kind of a normal thing for us. But I know for some of you, you might be in an office where, man, we only make like 5, 6 contacts a day. I'm not suggesting you go from 5 contacts a day to 15. I'm not suggesting you go from 15 to 30. But right now, if you're averaging, say, 5 contacts a day, maybe you bump that to 10. Or maybe you go from 10 to 15. We're going to have to stair step it a little bit, and that's okay. Client events hosted. How many client events did you do in 2021? Total database touches. Following along now, total database touches. Again, a touch, call, text, email, events, anything you can do to touch your database. How many touches did you have to your database? It's a whole nother workshop, but we've done, you guys have probably heard, the database formula, which with you guys we're going to cover a little bit later today, how that's changing. But what are you doing to touch to the database? How many touches do you have out? You've heard of things like 33 touch and 27 touch and 18 touch. How many touches did you have in 2021 to your database? If it was 2 or 3, you're going to get left behind. We've already learned that as an organization. We were that organization years ago until we got to a point where we realized, okay, we have to touch the database more. And then all of a sudden our agents are having better years and making more money because they're doing more database business. Next, I have written down total contacts added to database. Total contacts added to database. We call this the exchanges because there's people that you meet each day. There's people that you're in contact with. There's people that you don't meet that makes sense to add to the database. Think about today, all right? For years and years, we've known it, the Red Book. Of course, Gary Keller, a great mentor, the Red Book. Mets and have not mets. The problem with that is that was written in 2001. Well, in 2001, there was no social media. There was no middle group. How do you define someone? You all have someone, by the way. How do you define someone that, let's say you met them out somewhere for the first time, but you've been friends with them on Facebook for a year and a half. Let's say you've even commented back and forth on stuff. Let's say they've hearted or reacted some of your stuff. And then you just happen to bump into them at the grocery store. What is that? Where do they fall? Well, we call those exchanges. People that you have good exchanges with that make sense to add to your database. So by the way, the definition of an exchange, I'll give it to you now. The definition of an exchange is someone with whom we've had good exchanges with, that may refer or transact business with us. Someone with whom we've had good exchanges with that may refer or transact business. That's a huge group of people that we're missing out on because we stumble across these people all the time, right? We stumble them on social media, we bump into them somewhere, or maybe we went to their house to do a CMA and they didn't become a client, they didn't become friends, but we met them and we became friends on Facebook. What do you do with that person? That's someone that you're going to label, in our world, we label them as an exchange in our CRM. For some of you, it might just be creating a separate spreadsheet altogether. You know, you've got past clients, you've got sphere of influence, and you have exchanges. That group needs to grow. In fact, today, we've got a large portion of our business from this group coming out of that group. Why? Because we've treated our exchanges almost just as good as our past clients in Sphere. We've invited our exchanges to events, right? If you're not considering inviting your exchanges to events, you're missing out on an opportunity. These are people that are going to know you, like you, trust you, and refer you. And if you're not considering getting them to an event, you're missing out on an opportunity because if they're not going to your client event, they're going to go to somebody else's. If they're not in your circle, if they're not in your Facebook, they're going to go to somebody else's. We believe so much in it. At the bottom of the daily planner, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do me a favor. Can you read the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Read the first 5 down there, please.
Sure. Contacts made.
Contacts made.
Appointments set.
Appointments set.
Appointments gone on.
Appointments gone on.
Contracts signed.
Contracts signed.
Contracts signed, sorry. Add to database.
And add to database. That's it. You can stop there. And add to database. Meaning, by the way, is that at the bottom of every page?
It is.
It's at the bottom of every day, right?
Yep.
So that's part of our culture that we are looking for someone, at least one. I mean, think about it. If we're going to be talking to 10 or 15 people a day anyways, there's got to be someone who makes sense to add. Someone that we hit it off with. Someone that we have a good conversation with. Somebody that could refer us later. We have to be more conscious about adding people to our Exchange database. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind. Why are we going to get left behind? Because technology and disruptors are driving wedges between us and our clients. Technology is driving a wedge between us and our client. The disruptors are driving a wedge, and they're essentially, the old rule of thumb used to be this. Oh, you'll get about 10% return on your database. 10% return on your database. That's the old rule of thumb, right? So if you got 100 people in your database, you'll do 10 deals. If you have 1,000 people in your database, you'll do 100 deals. That was the old rule of thumb. Well, as you guys heard at one of our events, January 2020 in Orlando, Florida, we talked about how that number's dwindling. That number's probably like 7.5% or 8% of your database will do business with you or refer you. So then what do we do to get that number up? We either have to add more value to the group or we have to add more people to the group or do both simultaneously. So I can't stress enough how important it is as this group. You'll be hearing it a lot more. And of course, for those of you that come to our events and follow us online, building that Exchange database is going to be crucial in order to not just maintain your level of production, increasing your level of production in 2022 because there's so many outside influences trying to pull from our database. Next, continuing on with listing appointments set, met, signed, sold, closed. That's essentially how you determine your ratio. I don't know what those numbers are. You know what those numbers are. So you know how many You closed, you know how many you sold, you know how many you signed, you know how many you met, you know how many you set. Okay, you know those ratios, and you determine what those are based on your numbers. Same thing goes for buyer's appointment set, buyer's appointment met, buyer offer signed. Notice in parentheses there it says first only. Meaning if you wrote 5 offers for a buyer, I don't want the number 5 times how many buyers you wrote. I want the number of just how many buyers decided to write an offer with you. How many of those ended up selling and how many of those ended up closing. The difference between sold and closed is pended and closed, because not everything we penned makes it to a closing table. Total units closed, that would obviously be a combined of listings closed plus buyer closed. Total volume, that's pretty self-explanatory, totaling all up your deals and sales price. What your income paid will be, what your average commission check is. Pretty simple there. You take your total income paid based on your units, boom, there's your check. Top 3 sources year to date. We're going to cover that one a little bit in section 2. And your average sales price. So part 1 is designed to help us develop ratios and to help us understand where we are, so when we're planning for next year, we can look back and say, okay, I wrote down, just for instance, I want to have 10 buyers closed. Okay, don't write this down, but this is just, I filled out one for myself for my own peace of mind. If I want to have 10 buyers closed, then based on my numbers, I'm going to need 11 buyers pended. And in order to get 11 buyers pended, I'm going to need 18 buyers to write an offer with me. Why do I need 18 buyers to write an offer with me? Because based on my numbers, 60% of the buyers I meet sign an agreement with me. So if I want to sell 10 buyer sales closed, I'm going to have 11 sold, 18 that are going to decide to write an offer with me. In order to get 18 to write an offer based on my ratios, I need 29 new buyers that I'm going to meet. Well, Jeff, how do you know you're going to need to meet 29 buyers to get 18 to write an offer? Based on my year-to-date ratios of the buyers that I have met who have written an offer. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, let's say I've met 20 new buyers so far this year, 20 new buyers in 2021, either a buyer consultation or a first showing. 20 new buyers in a buyer consultation and a first showing, and 10 of them wrote an offer with me. First of all, would you guys say that's pretty good? That's 50%, right? That means half of the buyers, I got a 50% ratio of getting buyers to write an offer with me. That's a good thing. So now I'm going to take that ratio and I'm going to use it when I go to my 2022 plans. Questions on part 1, year-end projections, the ratios of the plan. Question?
Yes, can you go over again, why are we only tracking the first buyer offer sign only?
Yes. The question is, why are we only tracking the first buyer offer? Because that will tell me how many buyers I need to meet in order to hit my goal. We can't control how many offers I have to write to get accepted because the seller's motivations change, Devontae, right? We don't know, how strong our buyer is, how weak our buyer is. That's something that we can't control. But what I can control is if I know how many buyers, if I can figure out how many buyers I have to meet in order to get one offer written, well, then I know how many I have to set. And if how many I have to set can tell me based on my ratio how many leads I need, right? So it can go all the way back to the contacts, basically. So the buyer offer signed first only is important because that I can control. I can't control what percentage of my offers get accepted because that has a lot to do with what the seller's needs are, what the seller's wants are, what the listing agent's needs are, what the listing agent's wants are. Make sense? Okay, good. All right, let's move to part 2 of the business plan. High I's, high D's, are you still with me? High expressives, you guys still with me? I know we're almost through this part. I promise we're going to get to the fun stuff. This one will go a little faster. Part 2, business sources. By the way, do we have any giveaways yet? Do we have some giveaways? Planner giveaways? If you guys could let me know when we have those. Anybody that's chiming in, anyone that's using the hashtag, I got some giveaways here. Basically, every couple pages I want to do a giveaway. So if you're using the hashtag out there, our social media team is behind the scenes right now looking for your posts. We're going to give you some pretty cool giveaways. Okay, part 2 is the business sources pending and closed. So what I'm doing here is I want to know where all of my business came from in 2021. Because if I take my ratios plus what I'm good at, now I'm ready to plan for part 3, which is what do I want to accomplish? So part 2 is all about determining what closings do I have from each one of these sources on the plan, right? Where are my closings coming from? And the reality is these are this is basically every single piece of business in the real estate industry today. Now, I did leave one down there for other, so you might have a particular source that's not on here. Go ahead and just write that in, that's fine. But when you look at these sources, there's a couple of them that I want to point out to you because for the most part, they're pretty self-explanatory, right? Like the first couple are mostly database focused, right? We know that. For sale by owners and expireds, I still have to this day people saying, are you guys still doing a lot of business from sale by owners and expireds? You know, it's a top 5 source of business for this group. So I don't care what market you're in, for sale by owners and expireds, it's still a big source of business for us. Circle prospecting, doors, advertising, branding, social media. I do want to make a note on social media. If you're going to give credit to social media, first of all, let me say this. Social media is a platform to help you with your other sources. For the most part, social media is a platform to help you with your other sources. The only time I'm going to give credit to social media is if it was a new contact that I had never met and was never in my database. Okay, so let me restate that. When I see social media on there, if you're like, oh my God, I get business from Facebook all the time. I get so much business from Facebook all the time. I love that. Okay, were they in your database before? Well, yeah, they're a past client, but they reached out to me via Facebook. I don't care that they reached out to you via Facebook. You have to understand there's other things you do that led them to do that. So Facebook shouldn't actually get the credit for that, or social media shouldn't get the credit. Social media only gets the credit under 2 circumstances. If it's a brand new contact, meaning it's someone you've never met before, and or it's a lead that you've paid for, right? Because you can buy leads on Facebook and social media. So social media gets credit only if it's someone you've never met or it's a lead that you've paid for. All right, I want to make sure we point that out and keep those separate. And you might say, well, why do you want to keep those separate, Jeff? Well, because if you're doing a lot of efforts to your database, let's say you're doing events, you're doing mailings, you're doing postcards, you're doing pie giveaways, you're doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden you have an influx of people that reach out to you on social media. If you give too much credit to social media, you might let your foot off the gas on database. You might say, hey, this social media thing's taken off. I don't really need to keep doing these pies and keep doing these events. I'm getting a lot of it over here. You have to understand those two work together. The social media is a platform to help you with your database. The only time social media really should be getting 100% credit for a transaction is if it's someone you've never met or it was actually a lead that you paid for through social media. Sign riders and calls and text riders, just listed, just sold, direct mail, open houses, ISA appointments, for those that aren't familiar, that stands for Inside Sales Associate appointments. Whether you're with a team that has an inside sales team like we do, or you're paying for somebody else to make calls for you. Referral sites and companies, those are like your HomeLight, Dave Ramsey, those types of places that take 25 or 30% referral fees from you. Google pay-per-click, farming or hybrid farming. Walk-ins, office reputation, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, agent referrals, online reviews, which is a big one for us, a huge one for us right now. Just listed, just sold cards or postcards, video marketing, which could also include YouTube ads. Anything you're doing on YouTube could fall under video marketing, and Facebook lead ads. And of course, I've got some room down there for other if you have anything else that was left off that maybe is a source of business that did not make the list. These are our sources of business, in case you were wondering. That's why it made the list. Now, most of you are not going to have every single one of these filled out. In fact, the best producers only usually work 3 to 5 different sources. So most of these are going to be NA, you're going to have a line through them, or you're going to have a 0. But for the majority of this room, you're going to have 2 or 3 of them where you got some pretty high numbers. 22 for sale by owners, 13 Zillow, or whatever. You're going to have some pretty good numbers in 3 to 5 of those categories. Questions on Part 2, the business sources, where our business comes from. Questions? Yes?
What happens when a Zillow opportunity refers you to someone? Does that still count as Zillow?
What happens when a Zillow opportunity refers you to someone? Does that still count as Zillow? Absolutely, that still stays as Zillow. And the reason for that is because the source is always the source. What would happen is, let's just say, hypothetically, let's just say you had a Zillow lead that you bought. And you have an investment in your mind, or like with our team, obviously we're paying for most of that. And all of a sudden, our results from Zillow started going down. But the database business was going up because you were considering that referral from that Zillow as database. Well, now as a business person, you or the team, we may make the decision, man, our Zillow results have just been tanking. But really what's happening is our agents are getting a lot of past client, repeat, and referral business from that original lead. Well, if we dialed down Zillow and we're finding that Zillow is actually becoming very profitable, then that'll hurt us 2 to 3 years from now because we won't have that referral. Does that make sense? So the source is always the source. If it starts off as Zillow, we want to make sure Zillow gets the credit for that, because now when we go back and look at, well, Zillow, I didn't really get a good ROI. Well, if you look at over the last 36 months, how was your ROI? Well, I guess if you stretch it over the last 36 months, if you include those referrals, you include this, you include that, then I guess that makes sense. If you wanted to get super granular, you could, and we do this sometimes, Amy, with advertising, with mass advertising, you could give what's called like 50% credit. So like, you know, you might give, if let's just say with advertising, billboard and radio. Well, I don't know, I listen to you guys every time I drive to and from work and I pass you guys on the freeway. Well, all right, we might give 50% of the credit to billboard and 50% of the credit to radio, but we have to make sure we're giving both credit, because what we don't want to have happen is all of a sudden we're giving it all to one source and then we dial down another that actually ends up being very profitable and very lucrative for our associates. So that's why that's important. Thank you for that. Okay, let's jump to part 3 of the business plan. We got a winner. All right, let's see it. We got our first winner, and we're going to give away, it's going to be on the screen. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Nice job. Realtor Sabrina, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. There we go, 2022 business plan, hashtag Glover U. Let's hear it for her, everybody. Let's hear it for her. Nice job. You are walking away with the Glover U Live Unreal Daily Business Life Planner, built by real estate agents for real estate agents. They're going to get your information. By the way, if any of you are wondering, like, hey, where do I just get one of those? You go to gloveru.com/shop to get your hands on this. Okay, let's jump back into the plan. We're on part 3, 2022 goals. Okay. Most of what is under 2022 goals is covered in the projections. So I don't necessarily need to go through each one of these in detail again, because we just mostly went through it. But I do want to point out a couple things on here, because I get this question all the time. Jeff, when I'm looking at my goals, what percentage should I increase each year? All right, when I'm looking at my goals, what percentage should I increase my goals each year? So I'm going to give you a rule of thumb just in my time of doing this. If you're 1 or 2 years in the business, your goal should increase by 50 to 100%. If you're 1 to 2 years in the business, an increase of 50 to 100%. Why is that? Because of the learning curve. Because there's so much that takes place in the first 6-9 months of the business. The learning curve, it's almost like that 6 to 9 months doesn't even matter because you were learning so much during that time. Right? It's very common if an agent in our world does, say, 18 transactions their first year. It's very likely that they're going to go from 18 to 30 or 18 to 36 in their next year, because that first year they had to spend so much time taking a step back to learn and grow and get ready for year 2 and beyond. So if you're wondering, because I get the question all the time, like, what is a reasonable amount I should increase my goal? If you're 1 to 2 years in the business, 50% minimum, meaning you did 20 deals in your first year. First of all, that's a great year, good for you. Then you probably could do 30 to 40 your next year, right? 50 to 100% if you're year 1 or 2 in the business. If you're between year 3 and year 5, to a 50% increase. So if I'm in year 4 in the business and, I did, say, 30 deals last year, a good 25% number would be going to 40 or maybe 42, right? Why does a year 3 or year 4 person not take to double? Because what happens is you're only doubling in the years where your learning curve is growing rapidly. So once you're at year 3 or year 4, your learning curve is still, as long as you're learning and growing and showing up to events and so forth, don't get me wrong, you're still learning and growing. But you've already got everything that you need to do to increase your business by a minimal amount each year no matter what. So a good rule of thumb is if you're 3 to 5 years in the business, it's about 25 to 50%. Now, having said that, if you've been in the business 4 years, unless you were part-time or something, it's not common that you're going to double your business from year 4 to year 5. That's not common. Unless, again, you decide to just double the amount of time or double your spend or double something like that. And if you're 5 years or more, a good rule of thumb for those that are 5 years or more would be a 20 to 25% increase each year. It's a good rule of thumb if you're 5 years or more in the business. Now, I know we have a lot of associates that say, you know what, and I love this, by the way, this is a good goal too, so I'm going to put a disclaimer out there for any of you guys watching live. We have a lot of associates that are like, you know what, Jeff, I'm good making $120 a year. I'm happy with my 120. Instead of working 50, I averaged 55 hours a week last year. I'd like to get that down to 48 in 2022 and keep my income the same. And my response is, I love that. Now, what will have to change is your schedule will probably have to be a little bit more intense, and you might have to be a little bit more intentional if you're going to dial back the hours. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm good with making a couple $100,000 a year. I just don't want to work 70 hours a week. Or I want to make $500,000 a year, but I don't want to work 90 hours a week. Well, then there's probably something that we're going to have to adjust in your schedule in order to make that happen. But a good rule of thumb, 5 years or more, is going to be a 20 to 25% increase. Okay? When you look at the 2022 goals, again, we're not going to cover all of them because we cover all of them in the ratios there, but pretty much it's the same things. There's just a couple things I want to talk about here. Remember, database ads. How many people do you want to add to your database next year? A good rule of thumb is 1 a day. I think 1 a day is a very fair number. If you're talking to 5 people a day, 1 a day may be tough. You know, probably got to talk to 10 or 15 to find one person that it makes sense to add. But 1 a day is a good number. By the way, if there's 250 working days in a year, if you subtract Sundays and holidays and conferences and so forth, 1 a day works out to 1,000 people that you've added to your database in 4 years. Imagine think of your current past client and Sphere database. Think of your social media database, because that's a whole other topic we'll get into. Now you have another group of 1,000 people that are becoming to know you, that are becoming to like you, that are becoming to trust you, that are receiving your stuff, that are being invited to your events, that are receiving your mailings. That's going to be a big group that's going to refer you, and I would put I would consider putting some good energy into that each day. That's why it's at the bottom of each page of the planner. Okay, top 3 sources will be my recommendation. You're going to look back and see what you had good success with in the previous year, and you might consider doubling down on those sources. Most top producers have a minimum of 3 sources that they work regularly, no more than 5. The mistake a lot of agents make is they spread themselves too thin. Let me try this. Let me try that. That didn't work. Let's try this. This isn't working. Let's do that. Let's go grab this. Let's go grab that. 3 to 5. No less than 3, no more than 5. That's a good rule of thumb in terms of your source of business. I like to identify going into the year what I think my top 3 sources will be based on what I did the previous year. Projected average sales price, and then projected average commission check. I like to keep those the same. I know a lot of people say, well, I like to look at what's going on in the market. You know, our price is going up, prices are going down. I can't control what's happening in the market, so I just look at what did I do in 2021? All right, that's about what my sales price will be. What did I do in 2021? All right, that's about what my check will be. 2022 goals is all about saying, okay, here's what I want to do. Okay, this is like what we're going to do. We're going to get into the how in just a minute, but before we do we have any questions on the Part 3 2022 goals? Yes. When is the right time to add a new source of business? The right time to add a new source of business is when you've exhausted all your efforts on a source that's working pretty well for you. So in other words, I'll use expireds as a for instance, because you know, Dave, I worked those since day one in the business. When I first started in the business, I was just cold calling expireds. And then something kind of hit me, and it's like, you know what? What about these people that I don't have phone numbers for? What about the days I don't have appointments? What if I go see them at their door? So now that's exhausting another effort towards expireds. I was calling, and then I was at their door. And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. What about these people that aren't answering? Then I left flyers at their door. But then I thought, well, what about these people who don't live in their homes? Then I did direct mail, right? Because it's a vacation home or a rental or something like that. And then it was like, all right, wait a minute. I'm doing all this, and now I'm on appointments. How am I going to talk to these people at 4, 5, 6 p.m. when they're getting home from work when I'm on appointments? So then we hired our first ISA. So that's an example of exhausting all your efforts on a source before you move on to the next one. So I didn't add for sale by owners, by the way, until I did all those things. And then I thought, okay, I've really got this expired market captured. Now let's add another source. Now let's see what I can do with for sale by owners. So I would not move on to another source until you've truly exhausted all your resources with a source that's working for you already. Make sense? Okay, good. Let's go to part 4 of the plan. Part 4 of the plan. We're going to start to have some fun with it here. Plan of action. The plan of action. This is where we're writing in everything that we're doing to double down on those 3 sources. So back to your question, Dave, this is where you would write in all the things that, all right, I'm doing this already, what else could I do to get more business from that source? This is where you're writing in, this is like you're exhausting your efforts plan, basically. And I want specifics. I don't want things like, well, I need to prospect more. I don't want things like, oh, I need to work my leads more. No, I want specifics. You give me a daily contact goal you want to hit. Give me a daily mailing goal you want to hit. Give me a daily people you want to add to the database goal that you want to hit. I don't just want it to say, I need to work more, I need to prospect more, I need to lead follow-up more. The key to part 4, the more specific you can be, the better, right? Don't just write down, I want to hold more open houses. How many more open houses do you want to hold? What are the hours of the open houses? What weekends are you holding them open? How many weekends per month? I want you to be as specific as possible, right? Don't just say, I need to lead follow-up more. What does lead follow-up look like for you? What is your lead follow-up plan? I want that to be written in there. So part 4, the plan of action, I have always said for years, is one of the most important parts of the plan because it is essentially everything you're going to do to hit what you just said you wanted to do in terms of your unit and production goals. Questions on part 4 of the plan? Please.
Are you still recommending we follow the 3 by 3 by 3 rule?
Are we still recommending that we follow the 3 by 3 by 3 rule? Absolutely. And so as a refresher, the 3 by 3 by 3 is 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails in 3 days. 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails, all within 3 days. Now that might sound a little aggressive. That might sound like a lot, but I'm telling you, MIT isn't wrong. And by the way, the Harvard Business Journal published that MIT was correct in saying that, do you know that most prospects respond to your attempts after the 5th and 6th reach out? In fact, it's 80% at number 5. At the 5th reach out, it's 80% respond after 5 reach outs. It goes up to 90 after 6 reach out. You can Google this. All you have to do is Google MIT lead study. There's all sorts of reports on this. It's actually a pretty fascinating study. And so I'm glad you asked the question, Jennifer, because I feel like so many agents, they get a lead. What do? Call them, text them, email them. I mean, I call them, I text them, I email them. If they want to get back to me, they'll get back to me. I mean, if they want the house bad enough, they'll reach out to me. Well, that's only 3. If the study is telling us that it takes 5 or 6, how much money are you leaving on the table by not just doing that one more time, right? So I want 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails in a 3-day period. That is the rule of thumb to follow in 2020, and we've been following that for years as is. So yes, to answer your question, we are still following that. Thank you for that. Okay, let's go to part 5 of the business plan. Part 5 of the business plan. I have yet to meet an agent that has put together a great business plan and had great goals without modifying something they do in their regular routine. And so our recommendation is part 5 and part 6 in the plan, you're writing out a new weekday morning routine and you're writing out a new weekend routine. Now, I'm not suggesting that you work every single weekend. In fact, I would say for those of you that are 5 years or less in the business, probably consider working every weekend, but not at both weekend days, right? You have to remember, we are in the real estate business, and the real estate business is retail. What do I mean by retail? Well, consumers want us during retail hours, right? There's a reason why most of the stores, you know, if you go to Nordstrom or any clothing store or any type of retail store, they're busy at night and on the weekends because that's when people have available to work on personal business. Same thing with real estate. Nights and weekends, unfortunately, whether you pick this career without knowing that or not, is part of the job. Now, the good thing is, as your career grows in this industry and in this business, you can start dialing that back. You can start saying, you know what, I only work half days on Saturdays, or I only work every other weekend. That's cool. You have that luxury, but not as much during your first 3 to 5 years. So what we recommend is you put together a new daily routine that includes client generating activities in the morning only. Client generating activities only in the morning, client servicing in the afternoon. I cannot let my foot off the gas in the morning for finding new clients. Otherwise, I'm going to have this yo-yo business, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down business, like so many agents do. The morning is for client generating. The afternoon is for client servicing. There's a reason why we don't ask you to put together a full day plan. Because we know if you just focus on client generating in the morning, everything else will fall into place. We know that you'll have the inspections. We know that you'll have the walkthrough. We know that you'll have the appointments. We know that you'll have the contracts if you're following a strong client generation morning routine. My rule of thumb has been for years, with the exception of now with Glover U and doing a lot of this stuff with our team. If I can't duplicate it every morning at the same time, it does not go in my morning schedule. If I can't duplicate it every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, at the same time, it does not go in my morning schedule. Think about that. Is it likely that I'm going to have a home inspection every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday at 9 a.m.? Is that likely? No. Is it likely that I'm going to have a walkthrough every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday at 10:30 a.m.? Probably not. So why would I put those things in my morning routine? All of the things I can duplicate in the morning go in my morning routine, such as waking up at the same time, working out at the same time, brushing my teeth at the same time, calling my leads at the same time, preparing for my appointments at the same time. If I can duplicate it in the morning, it goes in my morning routine. If I cannot duplicate it, it does not belong in the morning schedule. The Saturday routine, Sunday routine. I don't want you to have the mentality moving forward of, yeah, I'm available for appointments. Yeah, I'll work weekends. I'm available for appointments. I actually want you to have a strict schedule that you follow on the days you decide to work. Again, I'm not suggesting you work every Saturday, not suggesting you work every Sunday. But if you're going to say, yes, I'm working this Saturday, or I'm working every other Saturday this month, I don't want it to be one of those that you're just available. I want to know what you're doing and when, right? Like I wrote down for me, for probably 13, 14 years in a row, arrive at the office every Saturday at 8:30. I'm prospecting from 9 until 11. I'm preparing for appointments from 11 to 12. And then I'm on a 1 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, then I'm done. Now, you don't have to have that extreme. I don't even really think it's that extreme. But I want to have something planned on the weekends. I don't want you to have the mentality of, yeah, I'm available. It's a full week. It's a full day of people are in good moods on Saturdays. People are answering their phones. People want to be set up on searches. People want to go see houses. You're missing a huge opportunity if you're giving up on that late Saturday morning routine and talking to people. So I want you to write out what your new morning routine will be based on the goals you've set. Monday through Friday and also Saturday or Sunday if you're deciding to work one of those days. Again, I'm not recommending you work both. And I'm also not recommending you work every single weekend per month. The schedule says how many weekends per month on purpose. I want you to identify what weekends you're working and what weekends that you're not working. By the way, we have, and if it's all right why don't we do this? Kate, can we get the staff to get all of the planners out to JGA? I want to make sure they have them. So let's get these out to you guys so you have them. So the Glover U planner is coming around. So we'll get that out. The new morning routine is in there so you guys can write that out later. We'll get those distributed. Thank you guys. Okay, let's move on to part 7 of the agent business plan. Thank you. So coming around, guys, is the daily business on Real Life Planner. You guys are familiar with this because we use this every single year. Every year it gets an update. And these are our gift to you guys. If you're joining us and you're posting online, we're going to have another winner here in just a second. But if you want this, you go to gloveru.com/shop. That's where you find that. Okay, let's talk about our marketing, video, and social media strategy. Part 7, marketing, video, and social media strategy. So first things first, I want to give you a quick marketing message formula to follow in 2022 and beyond. This is proven. It's been around for years. It's effective. I'm going to give you a 5-step marketing messaging formula. And by the way, in part 7 of the plan is where you're writing in, okay, what am I going to do for marketing? What am I going to do for video? What am I going to do for social media? No matter what you do, I want to give you the formula that's been proven. It's been around for years. You've probably seen it in videos and stuff that I've done. So go ahead and write down step 1, hook. Step 1, hook. Step 2, intro. Step 1 is the hook. Step 2 is the intro. We're under part 7, the marketing, video, and social media strategy. Hook, intro. Step 3 is supporting information. Step 4 is testimonial. And step 5 is a call to action. Step 5 is a call to action. Hook, intro, supporting information, testimonial, and call to action. I want you to think about whenever you're posting to social media. I want you to think about whenever you're doing a live video. I want you to think about anytime you're putting anything out to the public of following this messaging formula. And so I'm going to give you a simple example of what this looks like. Just totally ad-libbed. I don't have a script or anything in front of me. I'm just going to do it kind of off the cuff. And I don't want you to watch me. I want you to watch the formula. Okay? Don't watch me, just watch the formula. So let's just pretend for a moment. Let me set the stage. You just finished up a closing, and clients had a great experience, and you talked to them inside. Hey guys, if you don't mind, I'm going to go live in the parking lot and just talk a little bit about what's going on in the real estate market. Can I pull you aside and just say a couple good things about your experience? Is that cool? So I'm doing this behind the scenes. And you know, of course, oh my gosh, how do I look? Oh, who's going to see it? Oh, don't worry, no one's going to see it. You're fine. So we get out in the parking lot, okay? They're standing off to my thing, and I've got my phone up in front of me, and I'm live on Facebook, which, by the way, is still one of the most effective video tools you can use today. I'm live on Facebook, and I say something like this. Hey, I bet you thought right now was not the best time. I know a lot of people are talking about it's so hard to find a home today. Hi, I'm Realtor Jeff Glover, and in fact, we're finding homes for buyers constantly right now. Why is that? Well, things are loosening up, and interest rates are actually starting to creep up a bit. So we're starting to see some great success with our buyers. But don't just take it from me. Oh, working with Jeff and his team was so great, and they were so good. We saw 13 houses with them, and they were so perfect, and everything was wonderful, and da-da-da. Hey, for results like those, give me a call today at 855-JEFF-SELLS or online at housesoldname.com. Click done. So now I have accomplished a couple things. Number one, I have a live video that I can use for future use, which, by the way, notice I didn't say, hey guys, we're live on Facebook. Let's just wait a few minutes for everyone to get on. Oh, good to see you, Bobby Sue. It's been a minute. We're going to be there just a second. Knock all that stuff off in your Facebook Lives. Why? Because you're using the videos for future use. The video is going to get downloaded. Why? Because I'm going to give you a quick hack here. When you're done with this video, you're going to open up your laptop, and you're going to blow it up on the screen. And you're going to see that it's got 3 dots on the top right-hand corner. You're going to click on those 3 dots. It's going to give you a bunch of options. Flag, forward, save, download. You're going to download the video right to your laptop. And when you download it to your laptop, you can now drag and drop it to a YouTube channel. You can now drag and drop it to Vimeo. You can drag and drop it wherever you want, but what's most importantly, what can you do with this? You can use this video later, because now you have an HD quality version with a testimonial built right in. And so now when we talk about sending infotaining emails to clients and so forth, which we're going to get into a little bit later today, you now have content for that. So I'm going to challenge you and everyone that's watching on the live stream, in 2022, I want you to go live once per week. Find reasons to go live once per week, 48 weeks in 2022. I'm giving you a full month off. Find a reason to go live once per week for 48 weeks. I'm giving you a full month off. There's 52. You get to take 4 weeks off. Once per week. And notice that video was like 90 seconds. I don't care if it's 90 seconds. I don't care if it's 3 minutes. I don't care if it's 10 minutes. You're going to find reasons to go live because I'm going to give you some examples in just a second. Okay? Questions on marketing, video, and social media strategy under part 7.
Hey, Jeff.
Please.
So why do you focus so much just on Facebook? And obviously on Facebook you have the business side and the personal side. So
Yep.
what's the difference between those?
The question is, why are we so focused on Facebook? And the reason is because of the demographics of Facebook. As you know, Sean, we're a big listing business. And so listings are the name of the game. The largest demographic of home sellers today are 35 to 54-year-olds. Guess what the largest user of Facebook is today? 35 to 54-year-olds. There's no other social media platform that has a larger size demographic of 35 to 54-year-olds than Facebook and home sellers. So that's why I'm not saying I'm putting all my eggs in the Facebook basket. Don't get me wrong. We have success with Instagram. You have success with Instagram. It's obviously evolving, and those are going to be future clients, and there's no doubt about that. The thing with Facebook, and when we go back to Facebook and personal versus business, your business page is really only good for credibility. Your business page is really only good for reviews. Your business page is really only good for buying leads. You have to understand, moving forward, and you guys have heard me say this a few times now, your personal page is going to become your database. You have an opportunity to have up to 5,000 friends. That is your database. The days of, I like to keep the two separate. I couldn't possibly add my clients at closing. I don't want them knowing when I'm going to Vegas or when I'm doing this or doing that. You're going to lose to somebody else that is adding clients at every single closing. Because that is how people are finding about who to refer. That's how people are finding out about who to do business with. So your Facebook personal page is a database, period. Thank you, Sean. All right, let's go to the next portion. There's some supporting information on here, a social media calendar example. You can take ideas from this. This was put together by Alana, our director of marketing, who for this group you're going to be hearing from later this afternoon. If you're looking for ideas of what to go live, there it is. And there's another document. Now, before we go to the next image on the screen, I just want to say this, okay? First of all, this is designed to trick the algorithm. If you're posting a new listing every Monday, a new listing every Tuesday, a new listing every Wednesday, Facebook is going to catch on to you're trying to sell their audience something. This calendar is purposely designed to trick the Facebook algorithm so your posts get more exposure. But my recommendation to you is if you're posting 1 to 2 times a week right now, I want you to increase that to 3. If you're posting 2 to 3 times a week right now, I want you to increase that to 5. And if you're posting 5 times a week right now, I want you to increase that to 7. And use this as some examples. The next page, they can show that on the screen there as well. You can dig a little deeper on each one of these. Educate, entertain, motivate, build trust, community. For sake of time, I'm not going to go through each and every one of those with you. It's in your plans. You guys have that. All right, let's get to part 8. Part 8. 2022 technology, CRM features to utilize. Part 8 in the business plan. 2022 technology and CRM features to utilize. I am not suggesting that you go out and buy a new CRM. I'm not suggesting that you go out and buy a new technology. I'm not suggesting that you go out and buy a new tool. What I am suggesting is you get on the phone with every single person who knows your systems, or you request a meeting for JGA. You guys should be wanting to do sync one-on-ones. Because when there's new things that come out, or I know there's a couple new best practices that we're going to share, you want to be on top of those best practices. I'm not suggesting you go get a new system. I'm not suggesting we go learn something else. All I'm suggesting is I bet there's a new feature or a new something, a new bell or a new whistle in a tool that we're already using that you're not utilizing to the fullest extent. So part 8 is all about identifying what technology or CRM feature did not use in 2021 that I could add into my business in 2022. A perfect example I was meeting with an agent, 2 weeks ago, and I think we were in Cleveland or something, and they're like, I didn't even know, when you said that, I went and got on a call with my rep, because I gave the assignment, have a monthly call with your rep, or a monthly meeting with whoever's in charge of this stuff, in this case, at JGA, and the agent said, I didn't even know that I had artificial intelligence as an option. So here I have all these leads sitting and not getting a response from me when I could have just turned that button on and had people responding on my behalf when I'm out on appointments. Yes, you'll learn these things when you do that. Part 9, database value add events. Database value add events. My question here is, what will be your database value plan in 2022? How are you adding value to your database in 2022? I could talk until we're blue in the face. In fact, for those of you that are in the Glover U Inner Circle, if you just search Summit 2020 Replay, if you search Summit 2020 Replay in the Glover U Inner Circle, there's 3 full days worth of video on building a massive database and adding value to it. So I'm not going to sit here and give any ideas on that because you can go find that in the Inner Circle. Hopefully you guys have all joined that by now. Let me give you one thing under database value add events and something that we learned here and something that we're going to do moving forward. Never have an event where you don't allow your clients to invite guests. Never have an event where you don't allow your clients to invite guests. That's a big one, right? I think about here in Detroit. We do Detroit Tigers opening day. We're out near the suburb of Rochester Hills right now. Right? They're driving down in their GMC Suburban down to the Detroit Tigers opening day party. Oh, how long you guys been going to this? How'd you guys get tickets to this? What are they doing? They're selling their neighbors. They're selling their other couple. They're selling this family on you. And they're going to want to meet you and shake your hand. And hey, thanks for having us down here. Never do an event without allowing your clients to invite guests. All right. By the way, part 7, 8, and 9, we could talk for hours on that. And I know a lot of you obviously are planning on coming to Orlando and coming down to the summit. So I did want to share a little bit about what we're covering there. I think that's on the next page. In January 9th through the 12th, by the way, we have, I don't know, 3 or 4 more parts to get through, so I'll get through this. January 9th through the 12th, we're spending 3.5 days. So our conference is now 3 full days and 1/2 day down at the Omni Resort in Champions Gate. If you're watching on the live stream, you can see it on the screen. You can actually go to gloveview.com/summit, or you can scan right in your workbook. There's a little QR code that you can scan for more information. But we have one goal with this event, and that's to help everyone build a massive listing inventory in 2022. That's our number one focus. And so what we've done is, if you turn to the next page, what we've done is we've put together a schedule. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, between one-on-one interviews, breakout sessions, top agent panels, masterminds, networking. We've put together a schedule of the best agents from North America that are going to be sharing everything they're doing right now to build a massive listing inventory. And while I think it's cool that we're on a webinar, while I think it's cool that we're in this room, and we can learn a lot from each other, but you learn a lot more by getting to events like this. There's a reason why winners hang with winners. There's a reason why top producers are always going to different conferences. So a lot of times people will look at an agenda like this, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and say, man, that's like pretty robust. What does this thing cost? Well, you see the price on there, it's $399. Most conferences today, $899, $999, $1,000, $1,200, $1,300, $399 to come to this. And here's the deal. I'm going to do a giveaway. The first 10 people that are buying tickets to this right now, the next 10 people that are buying tickets to the summit are going to receive the planner. So we're going to see the ticket sales come in. The first 10, you're going to get a copy of this planner on us. How do you sign up? Well, you scan either the QR code in your workbook or you go to gloveview.com/summit to do that. Now, people have asked, like, okay, I haven't been on a plane in 18 months. What's it like at your events? Is there like a cancellation clause and so forth? You have until December the 9th to decide whether you're going or not. All right, you have until December the 9th. So it's not like you have to, go rush and get a flight tonight or anything like that. But if you want to take advantage of this price, because this price is going to go up, and you want to be one of the first 10 to get a planner, then you would want to buy it right now, of course, if you're planning on joining us. This morning was checking around random parts of the country. Most flights to Orlando are still under $250 a ticket. Our hotel rate, because this is the number one question people ask, is $250 a night, negotiated hotel rate. A lot of times you can get a cheap ticket to something, but the hotel's like $800-900. What's the point? Those cruises, where like, oh, $399 for a 7-day cruise, and it's like $1,800 flight or something like that. So the hotel rate is $250. That includes the resort fee. The ticket to actually go to the event is $399 for 3.5 days. Now, so I can get back into the business plan, because I know that's why you're all here, I did ask our video team to put together a 90-second video to share with you what we're going to be doing this Orlando. So I'm going to have them play that video to show with you what we're going to be doing in Orlando, because I hope to see all of you guys there. And I hope to get to shake your hand and we talk about how your listing inventory is strong and what your plans are to succeed in 2022. When we come back from the video, we're going to jump right back into the rest of the plan, because I've got just a handful of parts left, and we've saved the best parts of the plan for last. So take it away.
I believe in living an unreal and an abundant life, and I want everyone we come in contact with to do the same.
This event is going to be much more of a game changer than other events, just because of the camaraderie that is involved in the event.
We love love it because it's the intimate setting of just top agents from all over. We feel like we really get to network and learn a lot from the breakout sessions. We are definitely Glover lovers.
Boots on the ground, how to be able to live our unreal life.
I came to this event 3 years ago for the first time on a whim, and my career has doubled every year since then.
We will be covering the lead generation, lead conversion, technology, buyer consultations, offer consultations, listing presentations, and showing agent models. We will hear from nearly 30 top agents and producers through panels, breakout sessions, masterminds, one-on-one interviews, all from the main stage.
It's about taking your business intentionally, purposefully in the direction you want to go. And Jeff does such a good job of getting us all to stop chasing the shiny objects and go right to the heart of what's going to make our business great.
Everything you need to succeed in your business is going to be right here.
Everybody here is on the ground with you. They're selling real estate at a high level. They're very successful, and these are definitely the people you want to be around.
What we're going to be doing in Orlando, January 9th through the 12th. There's no better way to start the year, and I don't know, depending on where you're coming from, most parts of the country, the weather's a little bit better in Orlando than where we're at in Detroit, that's for sure. So we look forward to that too. To sign up, you just scan the QR code on your plan, or you go to gloveru.com/summit, gloveru.com/summit. Now, there's one other thing. If you're like, well, Jeff, this is, I was one of the first timers. I've never been to any of your stuff. I was like one of the 1/3 that hasn't been to anything. There is an alternative, although it won't be as good as getting out of your environment. We do have something coming up on 12/9, if you want to throw that up on the screen there. This is a virtual half-day session. We decided, because we're doing these 60 plus of these around the country, that we would make one of them virtual. And so this is a half-day session. It's $19. It's virtual. It's happening on December the 9th from 9 until noon. We're live streaming. Actually, we're going to be in Atlanta. So for those of you that are in Atlanta, come see us down there or get on that live stream. This is just $19, and that's a half-day session from 9 until noon Eastern Standard Time. And we're covering 21 ways to take 21 listings this winter. So you don't want to get on an airplane. You don't want to make a commitment to come spend 3.5 days with us. At least check that out. Okay, let's jump back into the plan so we can wrap this thing up. We are on part 10. Part 10, the financial model. Part 10, the financial model. And I think we have another giveaway, I understand it. Do we have one? Yep. Awesome. Our next winner is going to be, thank you. All right, nice job. Preparing for 2022 with Glover U Coaching. Finish up handwritten notes in November. I love it. It's a great weekend to do it. Megan Connolly. Congratulations, Megan. Let's hear it for everybody. All right. Thank you. We'll make sure we get one of these out to you right away. Okay, good. Financial model. So essentially part 10 is a profit and loss statement. My recommendation is that you make 12 copies of this and you make this part of your business plan once per month, because you can actually write in what you anticipate your expenses to be. You can write in what you anticipate your revenue to be based on your goals, because you know what your income goal is and how many units you're going to need to do. If you've already done taxes at least once in your career, you'll have an idea of what your expenses are here. But essentially, what my recommendation is, you make 12 copies of this, and this becomes your monthly P&L. Notice it is all real estate related expenses. We've been through this a few times, so we know what type of expenses that you have. Part 10 is the financial model. Questions on part 10? Please.
Jeff, what type of expenses are typical for like a solo agent to a team or a team lead?
Yeah, that's a very common question, Sean. Thank you for asking. So basically, the question was, what type of expenses should I expect? And so this is through years of trial and error, and also just masterminding with other lead agents, with solo agents, with people around the country. An agent on a team should anticipate about 10 to 15% of their income to expenses. Now, this is exclusive Uncle Sam. This does not include taxes. If you're an agent on a team, it's about 10 to 15% of your income goes towards expenses. Because, of course, naturally, teams cover a lot of the expenses, right? So that's why that is. If you're a solo agent, you know, just a single operator or maybe an agent with one assistant, Sean, it would be about 30 to 50% of your revenue goes towards expenses as a good rule of thumb. 30 to 35 on the low end, up to 50% on the high end. 30 to 50% of your revenue would go towards expenses as a solo agent. And as a lead agent, it's about 60 to 80% of your revenue goes towards expenses. So if you're leading a team, an agent leading a team is about 60 to 80% goes towards expenses. And of course, the reason why there's such a big disparity there is because you have what's called cost of sale. And cost of sale is the commission paid to the salesperson, right? So if you're on a team, 10 to 15% is a general rule of thumb. That's why it's interesting in any setting when I'm talking to solo agents or when we have solo agents and team members in the room, you know, agents are always like, oh, I got to get a better split. I got to get a better split. It's not about split. It's about net. You can go get a better split anywhere you want, but that means your expenses are then going to go up too. We should be talking about what your net is. Agent on a team, 10 to 15% of their revenue goes towards expenses. Solo agent, 30 to 50%. And agents leading a team is 60 to 80% of their revenue goes towards expenses. All right, good question. Okay, we're in the home stretch, guys. Let's take a look at part 11. Quite honestly, probably my favorite part of the plan. Favorite part of the plan, because it's my belief, you can see I've already wrote on mine, it's my belief that if you complete this part of the plan, you're already well on your way to having your best year ever. There's no doubt about it. So part 11, business, sales skills, and life development plan. Events. What do I mean by events? What I want you to do, what I want to challenge you to do is come up with no less than two, no more than 4 in each one of these categories. No less than 2, no more than 4 in each one of these categories in areas that you want to improve in. Now, I would say we probably all need to improve in all these areas. So we should have something written down for each. But what do I mean by this? Okay, events, meaning I actually want you to write out. I want you to identify what conferences you're going to go to. Are you going to come to the summit in Orlando? Are you going to show up for a mastermind at some point in time? Are you going to go to your real estate office's conference? I want you to identify going into the year what event you're going to go to. By the way, my recommendation on events, 2 to 4. Right? All of us should have 2 to 4 events per year that we go to that we're learning and growing from other people. How about practice and role play? I wrote down, who do I need to meet? Who do I need to meet? Who is doing something better than me in a particular area of the business? And where would I find them? I wrote down under technology, what are the new things or features that I need to use in my CRM? We already covered that a bit. Under coaching, I wrote down, what coaching program do I need to explore? Where am I weak? Where could I get better? Do I need to be in group coaching? Do I need to be in one-on-one? Can I do a self-directed coaching like our SLS program where it operates at my pace? What coaching program do I need to get me to the next level next year? Accountability. What new measures do I have to put in place? Do I need to have a penalty if I don't show up to the office at a certain time? Do I need to write someone a check if I don't hit my weight loss goal? What new accountabilities do I have to put in place? Under scripts, this would be perfect for a new source of business. You know, I've been doing really well with for sale by owners and buyers, Jeff. I really want to start breaking into the listing business. Well, all right, let's identify a source, and then let's just pick one, and let's master that script. Maybe it's for sale by owners. Maybe it's circle prospecting. What new script do you want to master in 2022? Mastermind. What mastermind could I join, or could I start one? I can't find a great mastermind, Jeff. Could you start one? What do you want your mastermind to stand for? What do you want to talk about in your mastermind? By the way, when you come to our event, you're going to meet people that mastermind all the time. We have masterminds at our events. Books. What new books do I want to read? I don't like reading books, Jeff. What new books could you listen to? By the way, I'm not the best reader of books. You know what I read? I read 1 to 2 pages of a book every morning. I'm a slowest reader on planet Earth probably doing that way. But I read 1 to 2 pages every morning because I always pick up a little nugget or something impactful. Podcasts. What podcast should I be listening to? You've heard me say this a million times. There's 5 days a week. I recommend you listen to a podcast per day. Our podcast, most of you are familiar with, the Live Unreal podcast. Yes, we still drop a new episode every single week. What podcast are you going to be listening to? Health. What needs to improve in my diet? What needs to improve in my fitness? Wealth. What is my savings goal? What is my investment goal? What do I want to do in terms of acquiring real estate? Relationships. What personal relationships need improving? What professional relationships need improving? How could I improve my relationships with my family, my friends? Who do I need to improve a relationship with? Identify. Part 11 is business, sales, skills, life development plan. And quite frankly, in my opinion, if you actually wrote out 2 to 3 things from each one of these, I believe this is one of the most important parts of the plan, because it makes the rest of the stuff easier. Because when you go to events, you meet people that are doing the things you want to do. When you have an accountability partner, they're holding you accountable to what it is you said you were already going to do. Crucial part of the plan. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Last part, 12, 13, 14. This is what we call the Unreal Formula. And for sake of time, I'm not going to go through an entire demonstration of the Unreal Formula. You actually probably see it behind me there. We just did it with JGA this morning. We start off every single one of our events, the Live Unreal Summit and the Live Unreal Retreat, with the Live Unreal Formula. In a nutshell, this is it. If I achieve my goals, what new options does that provide me? What will I be able to do by achieving my goals? I hit my income goal. Now, what am I going to do with that money? All right. Now, once I've taken advantage of those options, part 13, who will I become? How will I get better? Somebody said, well, how do I write out, like, who will I become? Well, who do you look up to? What traits do they have? What is it that they're doing that you want to be doing? What is it that you admire in somebody else? We just did this activity with our team a little bit ago, and some people were struggling to write out, like, well, I don't know who I want to become. Well, who do you look up to? Who do you admire? What traits do they have? And then part 14, once you become that person you want to become, you desire to become, what will my unreal life look like? A life so amazing, it's almost unbelievable. Because if you actually took this plan and spent time putting it together and you executed on it every single day, every single week, every single month, you'd be well on your way to your unreal life. And we're so honored to have you on that journey as a team, JGA, and those of you that are also with us on the live stream. Questions on the 2022 business plan? Please.
Yeah. Does the Live Unreal Resort offer a lazy river?
Does the Live Unreal Resort, that's the Omni in Orlando, offer a lazy river? Yes, Eric, there is a lazy river. And Greg, where's Greg at? He knows it well, because when he's not at the event, he's at the lazy river with his family.
No, seriously though, I'm curious to know, when do you think the best time would be to have these business plans completed by?
Question is, when should this plan be completed by? My recommendation is always by the last day of November, November the 30th. And the reason for that is because everyone makes a decision to put a business plan together, and then when do they start it? January 4th, January 5th, maybe when they come back from our summit. If you start operating from this plan, if you start operating from this schedule, if you start operating from your plan of action on December the 1st, you're going to have a month head start on your competition, right? Because what you do in December is going to show up in January, isn't it? So now everyone else is waiting until January 4th to start, and you got a head start of everyone else. So my ask of all of JGA will be, we're going to have these done by the end of the month, and then of course between Aaron and I will have regular meetings to review the plans with you guys in December, but by then you should already start to be executing on them. Execute the plan starting December the 1st, and yes, you'll have plenty of lazy rivers to float around in Orlando. All right, awesome. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. Do we have any other winners or any other announcements that I might have been missing before we say bye to our group on the live stream? Okay, next question. Boom, boom, boom. You guys got the resource checklist. We'll see everyone in Orlando. If we don't see you in Orlando, at least join us for that half-day session, thegloverview.com/tour. You see that, the 21 Ways Tour. Otherwise, get down to Orlando. I promise we will not let you down. Everyone, let's go have our best 2022 ever. See you guys.